10 buildings, and I have 65 students, with 2 buildings being covered by a COTA, and so part of my caseload is per student. I needed to find out really what was occupational therapy supposed to look like in school-based practice. When I had started, it was, we only do fine motor, we pretty much only do the visual motor components for handwriting, and that was it. I had a supervisor, a mentor, who was really into sensory integration. She had gone through the SIFT, and so I had some of her experience. She had retired, people had left and gone, and so there were like 3 or 4 of us who basically had to figure out what are we doing as a department. And the reason we kind of felt like we needed to really find our way and clearly define what we needed to do to support our students and staff is because I'm on my 16th supervisor. So what I did is that first week before we started, I tallied up how many assignments each student actually finished, and then at post, I did the same thing. At post, I also did an informal survey to the teachers, and then I had a focus group for the young students. So we just sat down and they told me, some questions. They answered some questions regarding their experience in it. What I found was that surprisingly, their on-task behavior went up. And for me, it was surprising because I really did not think that in that short period of time it would show some improvements. And it actually did. One classroom only did it when I showed up those 2 days out of the week. The other classroom, they did it every single day. And what they had is they did it right outside the classroom. They set up the posters because in a Montessori setting, they had no room. So the teacher just said, they can go outside and do it. The one classroom that didn't do it, they had it set up in their classroom, and even though it was hidden, it was in an area that was blocked off, it was like they had to be prompted, and I told the teacher not to. And I said, I don't want you to do that. So I thought it was interesting, though, that even though they only did it twice, they still rose. What was interesting is that up here, even though it looks like that top class had more of a jump, the class that did it every single day actually had higher gains in both areas. It was really kind of phenomenal for me for that. And I tell you, you learn about research stuff. Some of my students increased the number of assignments they completed at the end, and I think I would have had more students do it, but I didn't do it every single week during that 6-week period. I only did it at pre and at post. Well, Johnny up here had a super week and got 20 out of 30 assignments done, and then at post decides to, take a chill pill. And so that I got less done. And then another one took the homework home and never brought it back. So, there's about 2 of those that happened, but, you learn life's lessons, but it still came out, and the teachers thought it was valuable. In fact, the one that the students only did it twice a week when I was there, she wants whole classroom now, and we've been doing it ever since. She's like, Amy, I see the value in it. I saw how these kids started to improve after a short time, but I need the whole class to do it. And this is where I think Deb and I were constant getting things from people like, where do I start? All this information is great. Where do I start? And this kind of helped me a little bit kind of figure out where is a good place to start. So I did the calming right off the bat, and then I do the core posture. Because I really feel at the beginning of the school year, if I want those students knowing the proper way to sit in a chair, and this is how you can get yourself, knowing that you are ready to work, 2 feet on the floor, back against the chair, it's pulled up, and hopefully the table to the chair height is correct. You're ready to go. That's from the get-go, because trying to correct those things afterwards, it's really kind of a nightmare, and I don't know what other people's experience has been. But I thought if I kind of also get the ones that they don't really care for out of the way, then we can have fun with the rest of the posters. All right, so it's sort of a little twofold. But the calming is automatic, they have to get it. And then we did the proprioception one. So the twister puzzle, the wall push-ups, as you can see there, and then we did the heavy work bands. They loved those. And what I did with the heavy work bands was, for 1 or 2 students, they were having trouble with their spelling tests. So I pulled it out for that, and the one student actually did really, really well on it. The other student did up and down, but it was better than zeros. She got like 30, 60, 90, 30, 60, something like that in her spelling test. So we knew that that was an element that was going to support her from not, getting complete zeros every single week on her test. The third week, we did the bilateral stuff and the vestibular. So we did the jumping, I did the bean bags with the smiley jumps. We did, the left and right parts of the focus posters. So I brought out the higher level focus posters where, you're sticking the opposite arm and leg out. And the hand and feet, we did that poster. The fourth week was vision. So I got the figure eights, we did the tracks, smiley tracks, and the shapes. And I shared those with the teacher. So every week I was always sharing with the teacher exactly what I was doing and why I was doing it. And do you think that there's anything else that I can do to help outside? So with the heavy bands, that's when the 2 teachers said, can we please do spelling with it as well? That week, you do the poster. Next week, do a different set. And next week, and then the 5th and the 6th weeks, they got to pick. They picked. So, and most of them picked, like I said, the jumping, the smiley jumps with the beanbag, the ribbon wands. I was surprised with that, I really was, but I think they loved the ribbon wands with the infinity 8s, and that's why they kept doing it. Yep. And so, what did I find besides the quantitative stuff? What really opened my eyes were the comments coming from the teachers and the students, really. I was getting, my brain is ready to work. I feel better about myself now. 2 of them said, I like school now. And the thing that really, I guess, shocked me was these kids were the ones that you couldn't leave alone. They didn't trust them. They weren't being responsible. A couple of them were sometimes being mean to their peer before in class. And all of that reversed. So I call them the soft skills. The ones that was constantly getting in trouble, they couldn't even let them go to the bathroom by themselves. He actually became the leader in the one classroom. It was like, you know what, it's time. We can go do this. And he got all the kids in the study, out in the hallway. They did the posters, and then they cleaned up afterwards and went back in. And very responsible.
Did you say what grade the classes were? Like, I know you said K-3 and then...
I didn't, I'm sorry. Both of the classrooms were 1st through 3rd grade.
Okay.
So there were 2 1st and 3rd grade classes. When I was doing the research, the lit review, there are plenty of research articles out there for stationary or static sensory-based strategies. So what I mean by that, the weighted vest, the stability balls. There's very little out there for the dynamic and the all-encompassing programs that really will target that sensory system. And so what I'm trying to say is, it seems like we're giving things the students. But again, if we're thinking ahead, how is that going to support our students? Are they always going to have a ball? Are they always going to be able to have a weighted vest or a bear hug? We have to be able to, whenever we can, I think part of our responsibility is seeing what we can do to make those dynamic changes, the children to make those dynamic changes within themselves. And School Moves is one of those programs that can do that. So I was able to teach the students that this is why you're doing this. I mean, I didn't get into anything big, but I said, we're working on your vestibular system. That's your movement sense. And this is why it's important. And do you know 50, was it 50? I'm sorry, it's been a while since I looked back. But a little more than half of them remembered, which was really nice. After a short period of time, they were able, when I asked them certain questions like, why do we do the twister puzzle? Why is this important? They were able to tell me. And I thought that was really huge. So sometimes I have to get out of my way and say that the kids are a little bit smarter than what I think they are. And they're ready to take that information and then they can try to use it.